Tune in to see the Hopkins Collection, BMW Motorcycle Museum. I was lucky enough to get a behind-the-scenes tour. The mission is to preserve the history of BMW motorcycles and honor the men, women, and families throughout history who rode, raced, and enjoyed these extraordinary machines. Visit hopkinsbmwmuseum.com for more information. A special thanks to Jim Hopkins for touring me around.
These are very early race leathers from the 1920s by Hilbert, Germany. And the really cool thing about these leathers is that they came in the original baskets that they were sold in. This is a 1927 R42. It is one of the second models of bikes made. They made an R32 and then they made an R42. It's original condition for the most part. And one of the cool things that for me was the brake is a heel brake that you push right there to stop it. It actually stopped the shaft right there, and that's how you brake it. So when you were riding, you'd put your foot here and your heel here, and there it is. Your heel is it's just a photo. Your heel is braking. Well, because this has had so many thousands of miles on it, the person's toe rubbed this to a razor. That's how many miles were put on this thing. Now these don't have any throttles. This is your throttle right here. So those guys, when they were riding in gals, you'd have to throttle and then shift and then go back up and reach your throttle. You're crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
the shifter's right there too.
Yeah, so if you were racing, you'd have to go home and then go down and shift and then go back up to here and back down to here and crazy. This engine right here is an M2B15. Before BMW made motorcycles, they made a motorcycle engine, and it was used by other motorcycle companies with their bikes. So, for example, this particular engine right here is a Victoria Verk motorcycle made by BMW, and they put the engine in the bike. BMW doesn't know how many of these were made, but this was in 1921 with the original owner's manual for it, and then in 1923 they made their first motorcycle, so these became obsolete. I had searched for one of these for many years, and when I finally found somebody to help me do a Doris and her dad in Germany, I asked how I could help repay her for all the help you've given me, and she said, those cheese doodles, not the puffy kind, but the crunchy ones, my kids can't get the crunchy cheese doodles. Can you send me some? And so I sent her 50 bags of crunchy cheese doodles for helping me out. She sent me a picture of her son in a box with the bags of cheese doodles over his head. But it was like, that's what she wanted, cheese doodles.
So funny what people are interested in too.
Yeah, you never know what they're going to go. This is what I'd like to have. It's not money, crunchy cheese doodles, not the puffy kind. Women's leathers early, probably, it's got to be 50s, maybe earlier than that. Probably doesn't go to the 30s, but it's rare in that it does have a BMW logo on the leathers. These weren't made by BMW, so they rarely had any type of BMW logos on them. And this mannequin was the brainchild of Adele Rootstein. She made mannequins in the 50s and 60s, and they were just some of the most remarkable mannequins ever.
Yeah.
And hers are still highly sought after. So this is one of her mannequins, and she makes the leathers look pretty good, and the leathers do well on her. Her name is Lisa. Yes, these are original photo drawings by an artist in France named Philippe Jurel, and he does a number of books like this. This one happened to be on BMW motorcycles, and I contacted him because these pictures were just so cool, and asked him if he had any of the originals, and he said he had all of the drawings. So I went through here, and he agreed to sell them to me so that they would be hanging in the United States. So for example, I looked at this and went, boy, I would really like to have the original drawing of that. And of course, right there it is. So these are all photograph or drawings that were in this book. There she is right there. And it was so nice of him to actually send me the originals, and but he said, yeah, I'd like to have them hanging there. Really another cool thing that he does, when he sent this book, He asked what kind of motorcycle I had, and I said, well, I have the R42. So he drew this. He keeps this page blank so we can draw that in of your motorcycle.
Oh, that's
so this
neat.
says, for Jim's motorcycle BMW Museum, Philip Jarrell. What an incredible drawing that was just in that book. So
impressive.
His drawings are here. This is Elspeth Beard. Elspeth Beard is the first woman to ride around the world on a motorcycle from Britain. She did it in 1982. It took her 3 years. I don't know if you know this person. Everybody loves Laura Craft and Moto Tribe. No, these are obviously your leathers. And I thank you so much for having them here. World's fastest motorcycle, BMW motorcycle, from about 2014 to 2017. This gentleman right here, Andy Sills, broke the land speed record with the BMW and died the next year. And San Diego BMW sold me the land speed record bike. The interesting thing was his wife Erin and Andy had decided that the following year Erin would try to break his record on that bike. And she was a bit sad when she found out that it was sold coming here. So I called Erin and said, hey, the bike's coming here. It's going to stay here. It isn't going to go anywhere. And if you want to try to break the record, bring your team, get the bike. It's all yours. This is a hero of mine, Inga Stoll. And Inga Stoll was the first woman to race a BMW motorcycle. And she was the first woman to race at the Isle of Man TT in 1954. So I had looked high and low for something of hers that she had signed. And this is Jacques Drion was the French racer who was on the bike, and she was the sidecar racer. And this was signed in 1956 by Inga Stoll. When she raced at the Isle of Man TT, they weren't happy that a woman was going to race. And this is the 1954 Isle of Man TT newspaper. Whilst Fräulein Inga will also enjoy the Watsonian comfort if Jacques Drion will give her the chance. I contacted Valerie. You can see in her early days, she was wearing these leathers.
Yeah.
And she was doing land speed on a BMW motorcycle. I don't know if you can see it down there.
Yeah.
That was the early land speed records. Well, I asked her if she would, part with these leathers for the collection. She goes, well, I can't. I'm wearing them. They're my leathers. So all of a sudden, I see this advertisement with her, and I said, Valerie, you got new leathers. Do you think? And she's like, yes, absolutely. So she sent me these. She sent me these leathers that were the 217 mile an hour record, and she's just been so kind. This particular R80 GS, 1981, has no miles on it. It was never titled, never ridden. It's one of the rarest bikes. This is the crate front that it was in. It's owned by a guy up in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and he's permitted me to display it here. Let's see, Dennis Hopper, Jeremy Irons, Lawrence Fishburne. Mm-hmm. You probably don't remember Lauren Hutton. She was a model from 70s, 80s. Big time her. And Lyle Lovett.
Yeah, I love it.
They formed the Guggenheim Motorcycle Club. Reg Primor was the first racer to win the AMA Superbike Championship. I mentioned about the sign. That's the sign that he made from that photograph after he won in 1976. And he won the championship on a BMW, similar to this one right here, an R90S. This is the helmet that he was wearing when he won the championship. These are a number of his trophies and helmets from other races. His t-shirt from the race team for all the races in 76 that won the championship. And this is in here. He does track days now in California and comes to Virginia. He's an amazing, one of the greatest racers ever. He won the first 3 AMA Superbike Championships, first year on a BMW, and then the next 2 years on Japanese bikes. Maria Costello is one of the pioneers in women racing. I don't know if you know Maria. She was the first woman to stand on the podium at the Isle of Man. And she's also a member of the British Empire for her contributions to women's motorcycling. This is her with Prince Charles receiving that award. Her autobiography is a great read. And one of the fabulous things, I contacted her. She was racing for BMW for a short time, and I asked her if I could get a set of leathers for the collection, but it had to have a BMW on it. And she wanted to sell me these. She didn't want to part with these. And it's like, the BMW connection is what really it's about. So we talked a long time, and she eventually, we agreed on these. But the reason that she had such a difficult time was because this is the patch she got from Prince Charles. With the member of the British Empire.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm going to leave the patch on, but that's why they're kind of hard to get. But I really appreciate that she did that. And she's, last year, I think, was the first woman to actually race solo in the Isle of Man and on the sidecar rig in the Isle of Man.
The collection is filled with stories. I only shared a few from the day. A big thank you to Jim for the tour. To learn more, go to the Hopkins Collection BMW Motorcycle Museum website.
Oh, I know what fella the sun